Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Alex Driskell again from Sweet Georgia Sports, coming at you today with Braves month in review for the month of July. I know I come out with these a little bit earlier, but I've been kind of busy just with different other things. But nonetheless, let's hop right into the Braves month in review for the month of July. So, first things first, we're going to start with the record. Overall, at the time of this recording, the Braves are sitting at 51-59, and that's good for third in the NL East. We fell a spot back from where we started in June. But for the month of July, we were 10-15. We swept the A's. We played them in Oakland. Then we came back and lost two straight to Houston on July 3rd and July 4th. And we kind of got exposed against Houston that we were actually pretenders instead of contenders. And on a side note, something happened on Twitter where the Braves were called racist because strikeouts are racist, apparently. If you don't know what happened, there was this girl at a Braves game, and where they post strikeouts, there were 3 strikeouts swinging, so KKK, and she just blew up Twitter. She basically just got triggered, and she was like, "This is racist. The Braves are racist," and she was put in her place pretty quick. But that was just another side note, a little funny thing that happened in the Braves universe and Braves country. Then we go to Washington, and we split with Washington, and then that little rain delay, if you even want to call it a rain delay, because no rain actually fell. There was just a threat of rain, apparently, and no rain fell for like 2.5 hours when the Braves could have been playing, but it turned out the Nationals were just doing it to protect their bullpen, and in the end it didn't even work because the Braves ended up winning that game, I believe. But we split with Washington, and then that's when the Braves took a break for the All-Star game, and again, I believe for the 3rd straight season, the Braves only had one All-Star this year, and it wasn't a pitcher this year. It was actually Enter Inciarte. He's been having a stellar year. I mean, going back to the second half of last year, he's been one of the best center fielders in all of baseball, and probably the best center fielder in the National League. Right now, he's only behind Charlie Blackmon, I believe, in leading the NL for hits. So congrats to Ender for making it the All-Star game. And then we swept the D-backs when they came to Atlanta, and we actually got back to 500. We were only a couple games out of the second wild card spot, and then the Cubs come into town and they get red hot, and we get swept by the Cubs, and again we get exposed as pretenders instead of contenders. Then we go to Los Angeles to play the red hot Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers are the best team in baseball right now. They've lost like only 7 of their last 50 games or something like that. But we split with the Dodgers. Then we come back to we go to Arizona, and we lose a series against the Diamondbacks. And then we go to Philadelphia, which has been our kryptonite all year, and we get swept by the Phillies. So moving on from the record and just the series and all that happened with the team in July, we're going to move on to this month's MVP. And this month's MVP might come as a surprise. It is Kurt Suzuki. For the month of July, he hit .356. His on-base percentage was .356 as well because he didn't walk. His slugging percentage was .911. He really, really hit the ball to all fields, especially in the gaps. He put up great power numbers. I actually had to recheck myself on this because I didn't think the number was right either. But for the month of July, he had 8 home runs and 14 RBIs. Though he may not have had as many at-bats as other guys in July, Suzuki's numbers couldn't be ignored this month. He made the most of his at-bats, and he is clearly furthering that he and Tyler Flowers are making a case for being one of the best and one of the most underrated catching duos in all of baseball. And I've just loved how Tyler Flowers and Kurt Suzuki have handled themselves, and they've become a great tandem, a great one-two punch at the catching position this year for the Braves. And they've proven to me that they're probably the most underrated catching duo in all of baseball. So moving on from the MVP, we're going to go to our disappointment. And the disappointment for the month of July is none other than Dansby Swanson. Dansby Swanson hit .125. for the month of July. He had a 208 on base percentage, and he only swung 188. He didn't have any home runs, actually, and he only had 2 RBIs. Poor Dansby. I mean, he showed signs of progress in June. Then he regressed a lot in July, to the point where he was optioned back to AAA to get more reps because Brian Snitker's hand was forced by the emergence of Johan Camargo. Things now look like Dansby had been rushed and he had too much pressure thrown upon him way too early in his career. And going forward for Dansby, I think he'll be back this season because he's way too good of a ball player for some simple regression. That was expected nonetheless to totally derail his entire career. So for Dansby Swanson, just get your head straight, get that swing back, and he'll be up in no time. And then the X factor for the month of July is Mike Foltynewicz. He was 3-1. His ERA was 4.88. His WHIP was like 1.66, I believe. And his strikeout to walk ratio was 28 strikeouts to 12 walks. Even though his numbers weren't that great, Folty proved in July that you can give him the ball and he'll go out there and he'll consistently compete. And hey, he even led the pitching staff in wins during July. I know there's this crowd that say, hey, wins don't matter, but sometimes, yeah, they do. I mean, it shows that he can go out and compete, and really he's showing a lot of progress, and he's creating some buzz that he could possibly be a frontline starter in future Braves rotations. I don't think he'll be the ace, but I think he'll be a solid 2 or 3 option in future Braves rotations. So moving on from all the player side, from the MVP, the disappointment, and the X factor for the month of July, we are going to go to the word of the month. And the word of the month for July is weird, because it was indeed a weird month in Braves country. We started July looking quite promising, and then basically got exposed in that Cubs series as pretenders instead of contenders. Going into the deadline, we expected the usual wheeling and dealing that Copy and the front office are accustomed to. But this trade season was awful if you were looking to sell, which we kind of were doing. Outside of the Jaime Garcia trade, nothing quite went on with the Braves during the trading season other than reported talks about acquiring Sonny Gray. Of course, he goes to the Yankees. And Tigers' young pitching star, Michael Fulmer. There's still talks about that. Maybe we get him in the offseason. Hopefully. He's a very good pitcher, but he also has some injury concerns. Also, at the end of the month, there was some roster and lineup shuffling that was just a tad odd, that basically signaled that the 2017 Braves probably won't make a push for the second wild card spot. So moving on from the word of the month, we're going to look forward to the month that is August. I know we're already in August. Again, I'm sorry for getting it out later than I usually do. I've just been busy with different things. But going into August, expect a lot of call-ups. I know Ozzie Albies, Lucas Sims, and Max Fried have all been called up. And towards the tail end of August, we could even see more names called up as the front office just tries to get wave one, as I call it, the first wave of prospects, as they try to get their feet wet in SunTrust Park. We've already lost a series against the Dodgers, and we won a series against Miami. We host Philadelphia for a quick 2-game set, then travel to St. Louis and Colorado. Both are 3-game sets. Then we come back to host a series against Cincinnati, Seattle, and Colorado. Again, all of those series are 3-game sets. Then we close out from the month in Philadelphia, where we desperately need a win there, and we end the month of August in Chicago against the Cubs. So, with that, that's been the Braves Month in Review for the month of July. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, share with Braves Country about what you think the month of July was like for the Braves. And again, don't be afraid to leave a comment. We're always looking for feedback. If you want to see any more content from Sweet Georgia Sports, we have plenty of it covering the Falcons, Hawks, and a recent college football video we put out. So, with that being said, I've been Alex Driskell for Sweet Georgia Sports, saying God bless and stay choppy, Atlanta.